The big issue my generation and especially younger is facing are these algorithms in which it's infinite scrolling, literally infinite. You could spend all day, every day, 24/7 scrolling through it. And depending on what you like, because we know the smartphones, these applications that we download, we know they spy on us. We know they listen to us. We know they're constantly collecting data, right? And this is the whole thing with Elon Musk and Trump now getting into office and the red shift that I've spoken about in my videos is because they have to get now the people who are more right wing thinking and the religious people on board with the technocracy and this kind of stuff. Because let's just say every 2 years, social media hasn't been around long. It hasn't been around even 20 years, really, for the most part. And it's completely shaped our culture. But from when it's first started to now, it's a lot different. And it seems as if every 2 years it changes a lot. So let's just say from 2008, right, Facebook to 2010, then to 2012, so on and so forth. And then Instagram really came around when I was in high school. I have used these social media apps since middle school. It was Facebook in seventh grade. That's when me and pretty much most people in my whole grade downloaded it. And then once high school came around, there was Instagram, then Snapchat, and Twitter even. And TikTok didn't come around until I was like 23. That's like when it really blew up. So luckily I wasn't in high school or really, my teen years when TikTok was around, because that's even more of a brain rot, especially for young people whose brains aren't developed yet. So these algorithms are constantly collecting data on you. They know how to keep you glued to the phone, addicted to it, right? How you probably subconsciously go on your phone and go and check your Instagram or your TikTok without realizing it. And I know it because I do it all the time myself, and it's you got to catch yourself doing it, of course. But it really goes to show that you talk about all these addictions in the world, like I don't know, alcohol, drugs, pornography, or food, even, or whatever. But no one really talks about the internet being this huge addiction because it's so easy to get dopamine, and it's completely changed the way we interact, the way we see each other, view each other, socialize. Um, in my opinion, there hasn't been anything good that's come from social media. It's torn us all apart. It's divided us. We are now, especially with amongst young people, the most depressed. We have the least amount of friends. We're not forming any intimate relationships with each other. It's really been on a decline, right? And the whole thing with the Elon Musk and all these people talk about the declining birth rates. It's true, and it's a true, valid concern. Because if you're not procreating, if you're not forming bonds or connections with anyone, I mean, we're asking for a really lonely future. That's my point with the algorithms, because these algorithms, they know how to play on your feelings, your emotions, your insecurities. Like for example, with me, right? With guys, right? It's gonna show you girls with big boobs, with big asses, right? To try to get your attention, to try to distract you, because the algorithm is gonna know, oh, look, he gazes on this for 5 seconds or more, so let's feed him that. Or even something like, if I watch, because sometimes my guilty pleasure, I guess you could call it, is watching professional wrestling. If I wanted to watch something really for pure entertainment, but like the old wrestling from 20, 30 years ago. And it's like if I watch a couple of videos, all of a sudden my Instagram algorithm is full of wrestling videos, like the older vintage wrestling videos. And all these apps are integrated with one another in that sense, to where you do something on one app, the other app is going to know, because they're all collecting data, right? Because essentially all the same people, all the same technocrats, big tech owns everything. And it's like a giant pyramid scheme, right? It keeps going up to the same people that essentially own and control even stuff as the mainstream media, your central banks, big oil, big pharma, your education system, all those things, right? So I don't know who this guy is. I just want to put on something of walking in New York City, but yeah, I think this is East Village, if I'm not mistaken, or I could be wrong, but I don't know. It seems like I'm the one of the only people that finds this to be a concern with how divided we all are. The complete lack of connections where we seem to be able to make. It's like one disagreement, you can cut someone off, right? Because, again, we just live in this world where whether it's friendships or intimate relationships, there's no form of responsibility or commitment with anyone because you could just cut people off, right? You just delete them, block them on Instagram, you block them on TikTok, you block them on Facebook, you block their phone number, and they're gone like they don't exist, right? Especially if they don't live in your community, right? It's like they don't even exist. And that's where we're going to where you're going to be deleted if you excuse me, if you don't comply, if you don't get this technology right that they're going to try to pitch, of course, as for the greater good of humanity. If you don't get it in you as opposed to having it just on you 24/7, if you don't get it in you so they can literally monitor you and be inside you and track you 24/7 and know everything there is to possibly know about you, then there's going to be no way out. Once they're in you, there's no getting out. That's what people can't understand. Once they're inside you, they can't get out. Just like they've made this world now where if you don't have a smartphone or you don't have an up-to-date laptop or computer, you're not going to be able to have a job even. You're not going to be able to make content like the way I am. You're not going to be able to talk to people or communicate with people. You're not going to be able to really do much at all. It's like you're useless, and that's what they're getting us ready for. And we're on the verge of this, man. I mean, we're living in crazy times right now where we're witnessing the complete verge shift and change of the way we live life from this old style of living that you can say from the 80s, 90s, that those ways of living, whatever, to now. I don't know because again, this is the future we're talking here. We're right on the verge of it. We can't say for sure how we know exactly how it's going to look, but we see it right now with the technology and how it's ruining the way we've been interacting with each other. I don't live in a city like this. I live in New Jersey, actually, in northwestern Jersey. It's a little bit more rural, suburban, and I'm in my late 20s, and it's hard to find people my age. For it's like you got to go to these big cities, right? You got to go to these bars and clubs and all these things. I mean, I've made videos about it. Dating, it's just horrible for us right now. I mean, someone like me is completely overlooked because I'm below 6 feet. I don't make six figures per year, right? And this isn't coming out of bitterness. I'm just telling you what it's like, and I speak for all men. When you're quote unquote this average guy, right? I mean, it's a wreck. I go on dates with girls. It's not like I don't, and it's terrible. It really is. It's either they completely stop talking to me with this ghosting and all that, or I just it's not like I ghost. I just think they're weird, and I'll tell them like, hey, I got this isn't gonna work, this and that, but and that's another thing in this generation with this ghosting stuff, right? That we all do to each other. That we all have this rule, right? When we go on dates where you just have to mentally prepare yourself after you go on a date with that person for the first, second, third time, whatever it might be, that you might not ever see them again. And I hate to back it up, but it's true. It is true because most of the time, after you go on a couple of dates with someone, you never hear from them again. On to the next bigger, better thing. Grass is greener on the other side, right? And that's what I'm saying with these algorithms, man, with these dating apps, with Tinder, and all this stuff. You could just swipe on a dating app, especially for the women. We know that these dating apps mainly benefit women over men. Not that it does necessarily even benefit them, but the point is that they have the options on there. The average dude, even a good looking dude, doesn't really have many options at all on these dating apps and has to settle for less a lot. But, an ugly girl, a very average girl, a girl with a bad personality, has nothing going for her, can have sex with a guy, go on a date with a guy who's out of her league, who's better looking than her. And that's where you get these women with these high unrealistic standards because, again, these algorithms can just feed you someone new, feed you the next bigger, better thing. It's sad, man. Even looking at this video of the city, and this is very recent. I think this is just, excuse me, a few days ago. And it's like even here in the big city, man, you don't see too many people talking or interacting this whole time, right? And I know in the city, it's when you're walking, everyone's minding their business. People got places to go, things to see. I'm more important than you, this and that. Trust me, I grew up going to New York City. I know what it's like there. I know exactly what it's like there. And yeah, man, they push you out to these big cities. They make it seem if you don't live in the city, you're missing out. And in a sense, almost it's true because this is where all the social life, the nightlife is, especially if you're my age, in your 20s and your 30s and all that. But it's a trap in the end of the day. We know that. Those of us who are awake. Anyway, I'm gonna end it here. There's a lot to say on the algorithms. Let me know what you guys think. I'll make more videos talking about it, but let me know what you guys think about New York City and what other cities you'd like to see as well.